Hey guys, Chris Fix here. Today I'm going to show you how to change out the sway bar end links. This fix will work for any 2002 to 2009 Chevy Trailblazers or GMC Envoys, 2004 to 2007 Buick Rainiers, the later model Oldsmobile Bravadas, and the Isuzu Ascender. And most makes and models that have the end links that look like this. It's very simple. It connects the sway bar here to the lower control arm. And as you can see, these end links have a lot of play in them, and that's for the top and the bottom. They also feel gritty when you do this, and the rubber boot on the outside is broken, allowing grit to get in there. So these need to be changed out. When you replace these in pairs. So you replace the driver's side in this case, and you'll do the passenger side. Here are the passenger side end links. The rubber is broken. This doesn't have the inwards and outwards play on the top one, but it has it on the bottom one. But they're also very loose, and as I said before, you replace these in pairs, so we'll be doing this side as well. And now I'm going to show you all the tools that you're going to need to use to replace this. So here are all the tools I used to change out the sway bar end links. You'll need a torque wrench to torque the nuts to 74 foot-pounds, a ratchet, 18mm socket and an extension, a Torx key. I have an 18mm ratcheting wrench, which will help, a narrow tip vice grip, penetrating fluid, thread locker, and some grease in a grease gun. And for the parts, I'm using these Mevotech end links. They're really nice. They have these grease fittings at the end, so you could grease these up, which will make them last a lot longer. And one thing to look for on these is the boots. You want to make sure this rubber is really strong, because if the rubber breaks, these are garbage. And these boots look really nice. I'll put the link to this product in the description below if you want to end up using these. So let's begin. So with the truck safely jacked up in the air and the tire off the truck, the first step is going to be to get some penetrating fluid on the threads here for the bottom and on the top. So with many end links, the way this works to get this off and get it on is you have to use a Torx or Allen wrench here. So you get your wrench on here, and then you put your Torx in here, or your Allen wrench, and that'll prevent the threads from spinning as you loosen this. If you just use a wrench or a socket without the Allen wrench, you can see the inside here will spin, so the threads in here will spin because it's just a ball joint in there, and you won't loosen it at all. It'll just spin and keep spinning. So in this case, I'm going to use a T40 Torx for the best fit. It's the most snug, and it will prevent stripping. And you'll see right now, as I loosen this, it's actually loosening, and the threads aren't moving because the Torx is holding it in place. These ratcheting wrenches really make this job a lot easier. We got that off, and this will just slide right out. So now with the bottom one fully taken off, we'll take the top one off. So in this truck, there's not a lot of space to get into the top nut on the end link. You can see that the drive shaft is in the way. The lower control arm it's tight in here. So what I did is I put the ratchet down here, so I have about that much swing, and I'm going to put my Torx bit right in here. And it's actually good because I can leave it resting on the control arm. Okay. Got that one off, and now this just comes right out like so. Now there is a difference between the driver's side and the passenger side. There's two different models. When we're looking at these, you can see this is like this one, but this one goes the opposite direction on the bottom. So we want to make sure that we get the right one. And as always, I like to compare the two, make sure that they're similar, make sure that they look like they fit, look like they're the same size, and obviously these guys look like they're the same. So let's install the new Mevotech end links. So our old end links had this different setup than the new ones. The old ones used an open-ended wrench and used a torque bit in here and unscrewed the bolt. With the new ones, it's a little bit different. There's a nut right on the end here that you hold, and you could just tighten the bolt with a regular socket. So let's go and install this. The nuts on these new sway bar end links actually lock. You can see those locking tabs right there. And although these have the thread locking nuts on them, I'm still going to add a little bit of thread locker just because it's going to help with vibrations. I do this with all my suspension parts. You don't need a lot, you just need a little bit right up there. This is the removable type, and pretty much it just prevents vibrations from getting anything loose. Just a little bit of extra protection. But again, it's not really necessary with these thread locking nuts that are supplied. So now we'll just put these on. Just hand tighten that bottom nut on there, get it in place. Once you get up to that thread locker, it's going to be hard to tighten by hand. So you have to get the 18mm ratchet and socket. And because these are brand new, it's going to be pretty stiff. So if you don't see the threads moving, you could use just the socket. Just pay attention to the threads on here. If you see the threads spinning, then you have to get the vice grips on here. But until then, just tighten it up. Okay, I'm just going to snug this for now. We're going to have to torque this to 74 foot-pounds. But let's get the top bolt on before we torque anything down. Again, I'm going to add some thread locker just for that extra protection. And we'll just snug this right up. With both of these snugged up, let's go torque them down. So I have the torque wrench set to 74. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the vice grips yet. I'm going to just watch that nut in there. And you can see the tip of the nut right there. If that starts moving, then I'll get my vice grips and I'll clamp down in there, and that'll hold it in place as I try to torque this down. So I think I'm going to just be able to torque it without using the vice grips, which is good. Okay, good. That's torqued. Now let's go to the top. For the top one, we're going to go in from the side. Use an extension. Again, as I tighten this, I'm just watching to make sure that nut over there doesn't turn. And it's not. If it was, I'd use the vice grips to keep it in place. Okay, and this side is done. Let's go to the passenger side, put that end link on, and then grease these fittings. Another method that you could use to get these off instead of using the Torx bit in here is you could use a ratchet. Again, it's 18mm, and you could use the vice grips. Just want to make sure you tighten down the vice grips right on that spinning piece in there. Don't worry about the rubber because it's getting replaced. Get it gripped on there good, and just unscrew it like that. And you can see it comes off, and you can open up your vice grips. Those will come off, and this will come right out. This method will actually work really good up here for the top end link nut. Now you could get that 18mm socket in here, and there's actually more room to turn. So depending on what tools you have and what access you have, you could use either method. Okay, you can see that comes right off real quickly. Now you can just remove your vice grips, and then this will come right out, just like so. Now the passenger side goes on the same exact way the driver's side went on. Again, just add a little bit of thread locker on if you wanted just to have that extra protection. Hand tighten the two nuts on, one on the top, one on the bottom. So now we'll just snug these up. I don't think I'm going to have to use the vice grips, just like on the other side. And once you snug it up here, go to the back here. And once these are snugged up, let's torque it down to 74 foot-pounds. Good. Good. And now all we need to do is get our grease gun in here, and you just want to pump it until you see this boot expand just a little bit. Took 3 pumps for me. The bottom one, you kind of just go in at an angle here, and it pumps right in. 1, 2, 3. Do the same thing for the passenger side. And we are done. This is how you replace a sway bar end link on a car or a truck. This was done on a Trailblazer, but if you have this common type of sway bar end link, this replacement will be identical on almost any vehicle. I just replaced the end links on my Ford van, and it was the exact same process. If this video is helpful, remember to give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing. I publish how-to videos weekly, and I answer all the questions and comments you guys leave in the comment section below. Up on the screen are going to be some how-to videos. If you want to check out those videos, you can click on the link on the screen, or you can find a link in the description below. Also in the description below are the links to the Chris Fix Facebook and Twitter pages. If you use Facebook or Twitter, check it out.